Hello everyone, this is Dr. Annette Feravich. That's probably not the best lighting. Okay, and as you can see, I have started my Thanksgiving meal. And what I'm making here, and a lot of people find this a little bit hard to make, especially in this teeny tiny kitchen that I have. First time I'm recording in my teeny tiny kitchen in my apartment. But I am showing you that life can happen beyond a lake house. I don't know if the kitchen's going to be this bad, but for you, hopefully not. All right, so what am I doing? I got some jasmine rice. So here, I just got this jasmine rice from Aldi's. And I'm browning it in this nice little pan. And I'm eventually going to move this rice over to my 7-in-1 Faberware pressure cooker. It's a pressure cooker more than it is the Instapot, but I know you are able to adjust those things so that you can get it. So you can make it useful for exactly what you want to make it useful for. So all I have in here then is the jasmine rice, and I cut up some onions, and the onions are in here too, and I'm browning the rice. And it may be up to you, I mean it is up to you, it's not up to me, how brown you want your rice. I'm a person who likes my rice a little bit browner, but most people do not. A lot of people like it just toasted enough to bring out some of those flavors. Some people feel if you cook the rice like I do, sometimes it has a burnt flavor to it. I don't think that it does. Cook it on medium heat. You can see it's all done. And you can see that the rice just isn't that brown. You can see some brown kernels in there, but it's really not too brown. So I turned off the heat. Now what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to put some sauce in here, tomato sauce, and a little bit of broth, whatever broth I have in there, which is chicken broth. I'm going to put it an inch above the rice. That is the magic. Then I'm going to season the rice, and then I'm going to put it in my 7-in-1 pot, right? I'll show that to you in just a minute. So I'm going to keep this running while I get my diced tomatoes. And then all I'm going to do with these diced tomatoes is I'm going to churn them up. But this should be okay. Remember, I have the rice churned off. Now you can buy tomato sauce. But this is what I usually buy. Well, no, I buy either one. This is what I bought this time. Mainly because I was able to get it in a smaller can. And then I don't have all the leftovers sitting in my fridge if I don't need them, and then sometimes they go bad. Okay, so I'm going to turn this back on and heat this up a little bit more, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the sauce in. Remember that what the rule of thumb is an inch above the rice. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put the sauce in. Some people don't like the rice that tomatoey. I do. And plus, again, as I said, I didn't want to have the leftovers. And now let's look for an inch above the rice. You want to put your liquid, you want it boiling when you put it in your pot. You can see the liquid is not above the rice yet. Okay, so let me move this closer. So that's not above the rice yet. So we need it an inch above the rice. When you're locking it away, you want to make sure that you're kind of right on that inch mark. If you have too little, it could burn in the pot because you're locking it away and you don't want to open it up. Although I do open it up and check it as it gets a little bit closer. So this is about an inch above the rice. I think I need a little bit more. There's a lot of rice in there. Okay, that's about an inch above the rice. Let's take a look at it a little closer. And now I'm going to go ahead and put my spices in, which includes salt and pepper. I'm going to turn that heat up a little bit so I have it boiling by the time I do put it in my, it's not an Instant Pot, my 7-in-1. I keep calling it a 7-in-1 because that's what it is. It's a pressure cooker. Okay, and some salt. I always use iodized salt because iodide is good for you. It's good for your thyroid. They used to put it in all the salt, then they took it out, and now we have thyroid problems all over the place. Any good idea, the MDs will totally F it up. Okay, and then some garlic powder. And that's usually it. I don't need onion powder because I have onions in there. And then get out the Instant Pot. It's not an Instant Pot. So now that this is boiling, I like it to be boiling hot. That's usually when we turn it down. Sometimes I put carrots in here for flavor too. And that actually is surprisingly tastes really good. So since I thought of it, I think I might do that. Oh, I could smell the garlic. Are you one to start listening to Christmas music on Thanksgiving? I used to be. I'm just so disappointed in the criminal justice system and capitalism. And it's just too much propaganda for me and nothing to do with our Savior's birth. So that's kind of what I think about it. So this makes making Spanish rice so unbelievably easy. Let's go, and I'm going to clean this up and get everything ready for me to make my pork tenderloin. Let me And then you could see all of the dials here. Number 3 is rice risotto. Let me get the lid on. And that's all that is to that. So I'm actually going to move that over here and then get started here on my pork tenderloin. And then that's my Thanksgiving dinner. I'll get a vegetable in there and we're rolling. Thanks for joining me. I'll be right back. Right now I'm getting the meat prepared. Okay, I'm going to cut it in 4 pieces. And then I'm going to get my toppings ready for you. I wanted you to see me cutting off all that fat. Okay, I'll be back when I get my seasonings ready. Okay, so I have my breadcrumbs ready. And I did want to use some breadcrumbs instead of just some salt, pepper, garlic, and seasoning. I put those seasonings in with my Italian breadcrumbs. This is what I usually use for breadcrumbs. Lots of pepper, and then the last ingredient that I usually use in my breadcrumb recipe is rosemary. This rosemary was fresh, and I dried it out, and If you crumble it up in there, you don't get all the big pieces of rosemary. But let me tell you something. It makes a difference. You don't want a lot there, but it really makes a big difference. So I did like about 1.5 fingerfuls in there. And you can see the rosemary all in there. Right, so here's the rosemary. Now, one of the things I wanted to tell you too that I always use is our old-fashioned, when you're making something traditional, find an old cookbook. You can find these all over the place in yard sales all the time. This is a Good Housekeeping Illustrated Cookbook, and it gives you, it was great for moms who needed to know the basics of cooking, right? That was almost always the very first gift that people were given when they were getting married, was a cookbook. So that was the showers, you got those kinds of things. Instead of putting an egg though, I'm going to use olive oil and drizzle that on my pork loins and get that all filled with that olive oil, covered with the olive oil. I'm going to put some corn oil though in this pan and get it heated up, and then I'm going to get those dredged in there and we'll be all set. Okay, so you can see that I'm breading my last pork tenderloin. That was plenty of breading that I have here. And from what I understand, you let them remove themselves. You don't need to be prying away. Okay, let's turn that down for sure. Let's get some more oil in this pan. They're probably ready to turn over. Oh my goodness gracious, they look so delicious. You want to keep the oil hot. You don't want it to burn, of course, but you do want to keep the oil hot. That is basically the story of pork tenderloin. That's it. You cook it for about 15 or 20 minutes in the oven, depending. I'll cook these for 20 minutes and this one for probably 25 minutes. My oven is already set at 400, and notice my rice has got about 14 minutes left before it is done. Oh, it smells so good, and I just am so hungry. Okay, that's it. I've got 10 minutes here. I probably have about 10 minutes to go on those as well. So I'll be back here when everything is all ready. I'm going to put on some cauliflower and broccoli too. Okay, so I'm getting everything ready for the broccoli and cauliflower because you want to make sure that you have a balanced meal. At least on Thanksgiving, you can make things that are all delicious. Plan for a balanced meal. You can see that I have hardly any liquid in there. There's probably about a 1/2 inch. Usually I don't have that much in it, but I do this time simply because I'm putting a lot of cauliflower and broccoli in there. I'm going to turn that down a little bit because it's not covered up yet. And I don't want to lose all my water. Okay, that's pretty good. You always have to make sure that you're spending time cleaning things up in a small kitchen. Okay, the rice has beeped. I turned this up a little bit more to keep this boiling, and I'm going to turn it down in just a minute. I need to let out the steam for the rice. And then we're going to check to see how delicious our rice is. See if it's done. And that's what the rice looks like. And so now I'm going to stir it up and see if it's all done. And then you know the golden rule. An inch above. Water an inch above. Also notice on the bottom. It's a little crispy on the bottom, but it's not overdone. I probably put a little too much liquid in it. So I'm going to mix this all up. And I'm going to keep this lid open. See, the rice is a little sticky, a little clumpy. But when I keep this lid open, all the steam gets out and the rice becomes more fluffy. I'll show you that now, how it looks. So all that steam is coming out of there. Now let's look at our veggies. And you can see those are all steamed really well. Let's get rid of the excess water. And you know what it needs next. What are veggies without cheese? That's how you get your kids to eat veggies. I mean, I had to pour a lot of cheese on, more cheese than veggies, but you know what? My kids ate the veggies. Now let's check on the pork roast. Pretty good. I'm going to let that set. And I'll see how that looks. And then I'll show you a finished plate when I come back. All right. Okay, it is warm in this tiny little kitchen, but I've got my rice. I've got my pork tenderloin. I took the smallest piece of pork tenderloin and it is completely done. The other ones, the fatter ones, will probably likely be done as well. But I'm going to leave that lid on it and they'll end up cooking a little bit more in case they're not done. So a little picante sauce on my rice. And that's my non-traditional, I'm all by myself, boo-hoo, meal for Thanksgiving. I usually like my vegetables done a little bit warm, but I know that they're better for me when they're not. And the vegetables are delicious. And now, a little bit of the pork. That small piece right there, a little overdone. So, I'm going to uncover this so it doesn't cook any longer. But those bigger pieces should be done perfectly. Seasoned to perfection. So I left those in there for about 20 minutes. Too long. But as you can see, I can't stop stuffing my face. So it is really, really delicious. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much for joining me here in the classroom in my teeny tiny kitchen where I can still enjoy a Thanksgiving meal. And believe me, there's plenty of stuff here if you had a group of 4 people here. So a meal for 4 cooked in a little tiny kitchen. If I can do it, anyone can do it. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving. And I hope that you are continuously finding, because God is giving you all kinds of things to be thankful for. Thanks for joining me.